Abydos, a forgotten code and a warning for the present. When the past looks us in the eye, imagine a discovery so unsettling that the very team who unearthed it chose silence. For centuries, the inscriptions at Abydos were treated as ceremonial tributes to kings and gods fading from memory. In the 21st century, however, a shard once dismissed as irrelevant revealed something unexpected, a code that felt less like myth and more like mathematics. At its center stood a date 2026. An AI system trained on late Egyptian dialects detected astronomical cycles, geological warnings, and references to a star of fire. Was this poetry, prophecy, or a record of scientific knowledge? We are only now beginning to grasp the story didn't end with one shard. Beneath the sands of Abydos, archaeologists broke into a sealed chamber filled with hybrid signs and figures, with their mouths erased alongside phrases implying that time itself could fracture. Another artifact, the Asher tablet, suddenly took on new meaning, describing a force that marked the minds of men and hinting eerily at technologies millennia beyond its age. The pressing question is no longer, is this mysterious, but rather, what if the past was not warning its own people, but us? 1.
Ink traced.
The forgotten fragment, and the year 2026.
Missed.
In 1998, a small, unremarkable stone fragment recovered near the Seti wine complex at Abydos went straight to storage in Luxor's museum. It gathered dust for 2 decades until our tools changed. In the early 2000s, a German-funded project rescanned overlooked artifacts using high-resolution imaging and AI. Expectations were modest, another ritual line perhaps. Instead, the model flagged an anomaly. The text did not read like a hymn. It resembled a calculation. It referenced lunar phases, stellar alignments, geologic oscillations. And within its tangle of symbols lay a number convertible to a calendar year. Matched against modern astronomy, those cues converged on 2026, not an abstraction, but a year in our timeline. Academia split. Some cried coincidence. Humans, after all, are pattern hunters. Yet the atmosphere around the excavation shifted. The cautious lead Egyptologist withdrew from public life. Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities, typically enthusiastic with press, went quiet. The fragment was pulled from view officially for conservation. Rumor placed it in a lab in Tübingen. Why secrecy?
Seed from the sky.
Because if a 3,000-year-old text pins a turning point within our lifetimes, it stops being a charming tale of the past and becomes an ethical demand on the present.
Metaphor meets machine.
2. The sealed chamber hybrid script, erased mouths and a timeline. Near the Temple of Osiris, the team uncovered a sealed room. Its entrance blocked by massive stones as if someone intended it to stay buried. Inside the walls were packed with signs that defied the ordinary evolution of Egyptian writing elements of hieroglyphs, cuneiform-like strokes, hints of Kushite script, a hybrid language that mocked simple classification. Most haunting were the images, human-like figures on the ceiling, with mouths hacked away, faces gouged by deliberate chiseling, bodies distorted art that seemed to silence the beings it depicted. AI entered the scene.
Preparation is less
Instead of translating lexeme by lexeme, the algorithm searched for structure, recurring cycles, ordered sequences, predictive forms. Phrases such as, "the mouths of the living shall be sealed," or "the return of inverted time beneath the second eclipse," sent chills not merely for their words, but for their mathematical shape. They read less like prayer and more like a timeline. One leaked line read, "When the light of the north becomes flesh and the heavens change their name, the line of the first shall be broken." Interpretations ranged from geomagnetic shifts to political collapse to the rage of Sekhmet. Whatever the reading, a common thread remained. This chamber did not record mythology. In the usual sense, it encoded events, possibly warnings. 3. The Asher tablet, seed from the sky, and a serpent wearing our voices.
Announce a date
Long ignored as a repetitive devotional text, the Asher tablet was re-examined in 2024 by a multidisciplinary team at Uppsala University. AI, trained across multiple dead scripts of the Eastern Mediterranean, looked not for tidy glosses, but for latent forms. The opening line emerged, "From the sky fell the seed that maddens men." What followed described an entity from the dark eye of the heavens, not immortal, but cyclical, arriving, departing, returning on scales too long for human lifespans. It was less a person than a pattern. Its effect not bodily ruin, but mental marking. It dresses itself in their voices and leads them to the abyss. Its emblem was a spiraling serpent, a global archetype from Quetzalcoatl to Jormungandr to Apep, now cast not merely as chaos, but as a cosmic intelligence that enters human thought. The closing lines struck a modern nerve. When metal sings without a mouth, when light speaks without flame, the serpent shall return. Metaphor to the ancients, perhaps. To us, it is hard not to think of radio fiber optics, synthetic speech machine voices, four global echoes, Maya Mesopotamia, Hinduism, and the Norse. If Abydos stood alone, we could shrug. But multiple civilizations, oceans apart, share patterns, cycles, serpents, fire from heaven, black waters, silence, and renewal through destruction. The Mayan long count marked 2012 as a transition, not the end. Atrahasis recounts flood and recurring cycles of stress. Hindu cosmology divides eras into yugas. The present Kali Yuga closes in cataclysm, then rebirth. Norse myths, Ragnarok, brings burning skies and swallowing seas, followed by renewal. Placed together, these traditions sound like a shared grammar of warning. Perhaps they observe the same long rhythms of nature encoded in stories. Symbols, calendrics, a memory we moderns have partially mislaid. 5. What AI unlocks from verse to dataset.
Try both. Test either.
AI's value here is not mysticism, but statistics, repetition, sequence, correlation. At Abydos, it did not force meanings onto words. It reconstructed syntax, detected modular loops, and suggested the text functioned as a cyclical dataset rather than narrative. That is how 2026 emerged as an astronomical fit precise enough to oblige a second look. Science already acknowledges geomagnetic reversals and periods of environmental stress. Around 1200 BCE, near when portions of these inscriptions may have been carved, the Eastern Mediterranean suffered a systems collapse under drought migration and conflict, what we call the Late Bronze Age collapse. To priestly observers, it may have felt like the end of the world, and they recorded it the way they could, myth as warning. Today we face rising seas, megastorms, drought cycles, and a fragile networked society.
Teach children cycles.
The Egyptian phrase "black waters return" resonates uncomfortably, and the images of metals singing and light speaking evoke machines with voices, light bearing messages, AI borrowing our speech. 6. Skepticism, caution, and responsibility. Skepticism remains essential. Archaeology has wrestled with pseudo-histories before. Yet a sealed room, a hybrid script, and computational patterning create a case both unusual and instructive. The issue is not whether the ancients had super tech. It is whether they observed large-scale rhythms and encoded them for posterity.
Share the burden.
If so, the point is not to nail a date like 2026 to the hour, but to enhance our preparedness to accept change and crisis as inevitable, and to anchor resilience in collective memory. They carved in stone. We inscribe in data. The obligation is similar. 7. The erased mouths, an media parable for our time.
It's honest.
The erased mouths are not only sectarian iconoclasm. They are a mirror. Confronted with warnings about climate technology disinformation, we too often silence them, burying them under noise.
Tastes like being
Erasure becomes self-censorship by power, by crowds, and sometimes by each of us. And yet, those ancient texts carry a counterpoint of hope. Human beings have endured collapses before. They wrote to be heard. If their voices still reach us, perhaps endurance, not doom, is history's deepest pattern. If they wrote for us, suppose the ancients were right in some sense about cycles, about a serpent of influence that returns when metal sings and light speaks. The question is not belief, but response. Will we be the erased mouths or the scribes for those yet to come? Abydos forces a difficult recognition. History is not a straight line. It bends its spirals. If ancient voices are amplifying now, it is not because fate is sealed, but because responsibility is ours to remember, to prepare, and to refuse the easy amnesia that collapses invite. If the star of fire is the emblem of an unusual cycle, astronomical, geological, or social, and if 2026 is a prompt to look squarely at time's curve, then perhaps the greatest gift Abydos offers is courage. The courage to listen, record, prepare, and to live responsibly within rhythms that inevitably will come again.